Happy February 14th. You buy chocolates, send flowers, write cute little cards. But the original Valentine's Day, which is my favorite to learn about, there were naked priests running through Rome, whipping women with blood-soaked goat hides, and the women were lining up for it. The real story of Valentine's Day is something the Catholic Church has been trying to bury for almost 1,500 years. And I'm going to show you what they didn't want you to know. You ready? My intimate intellects, and welcome back, my intellectuals. Today, I ain't got no tea, but I got some chaos. And listen, this is one of my favorite topics I've ever researched. The original Valentine's Day was way more fun than the remix, and today we celebrate the remix, just in case you know. Like I said, we traded blood-soaked rituals, naked runs through the street for overpriced roses and Russell Stover chocolates. I personally feel like we downgraded, but I'm going to get into all of them. Like I said, I have my notes and you're here. Let's get into the full thing. So what do we have? Lupercalia, that's how you pronounce it. The OG Valentine's Day. So we're going to go back to ancient Rome, 3rd century AD. There was a festival called Lupercalia. I just said that. We're going to keep going. And that was actually happening on February 15th. And yes, it was wild. I'm going to get into all of it because somebody just said, I thought we was talking about February 14th. Just stay with me. Stop jumping ahead. Stay with me, okay? Lupercalia was a fertility festival dedicated to Faunus. Faunus. I know I'm not pronouncing that right. This was the Roman god of agriculture and also to Romulus and Remus. If you remember when I did my pagan birthday video, you may know I've mentioned them. Romulus and Remus. Romulus. Rome's legendary founders. Yes, the holiday was also called February, which comes from the strips of the animal hides they used for the ceremony. So basically, February is named after whips, the goat hide whips to be exact. So I'm gonna let you sit with that for a second. But here's what went down. The Luperci, they were the Roman priests, and the Luperci would gather the sacred cave linked to the wolf that supposedly raised Romulus and Remus. Their festival checklist was absolutely unhinged. I'm going to give you the full list of everything they needed for this festival. Sacrifice a goat to boost fertility vibes. 2, sacrifice a dog to get rid of impurities. Nah, I don't know. 3, use the goat hides to make strips. Cut them into strips. 4, you're gonna soak those strips in the blood of the sacrifice. And 5, my favorite part, you're gonna run through the streets, possibly, more than likely, naked. And these were the priests running around naked. And there was another thing they had to do. They had to laugh while doing this. This is like full-blown research. They had to laugh running through the streets naked with these blood-soaked goat hides, whipping women and other things. I'm gonna finish. Like I said, these priests would take these blood-soaked goat hide strips, run through Rome, striking women and crops with them. They genuinely believed this was blessing people with fertility and good fortune. If you're in the Memphis area, side note, there is an awesome restaurant called Good Fortune. If you've ever tried it, you should go. I personally love it. Side right over. Anyway, now I know if you've heard that and you thought this sounds like a crazed naked priest violently whipping women. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And it's exactly what it sounds like. But here's the real thing. The Roman women lined up for this. They weren't being victimized. They were choosing to get struck with these bloody goat hides, believe it or not, because they believed it would help them get pregnant and survive childbirth. This was considered a full blessing. As we know, childbirth back in the day, still today, is one thing that most women didn't survive through. So this was a full blessing for them. Their chance to say, hey, I'm gonna make it through childbirth. Another side rant. You guys know Brave, the mom from Brave. I don't remember her name. That woman is I need a backstory on her and her backstory on her giving birth to 3 triplet boys in whatever century that was before medicine. I just know, yo, that woman, kudos to her. Shout out to her. Shout out to Meredith from Brave. Shout out her mom. I mean, good Lord. So, painting a picture, naked priests are running through Rome with blood-soaked goat hides, laughing. Like I said, laughing was a must. They had to laugh. This sounds insane. Striking women, they passed, and the women were like, yes, thank you. Bless my womb. Different times, different vibes. So I got to say. But that was just the warm-up act. Because what happened after the whipping, that's where it gets really messy. And honestly, the part it might not even be real. I'm gonna explain all of this to you, because if you look up origins of Valentine's Day, you're gonna get a slew of things. And I know some people don't have the wherewithal, as some would say, or the retention to be like, oh, that's really, you're just gonna believe a lot of stuff that pops up. You gotta keep deep research. Anyway, what am I going to? Oh, the matchmaking lottery, myth or reality. So after all the whipping and the laughing and the naked street runs were done, you may have heard that these single women of Rome would all put their name in this huge urn, and then the bachelor boys of Rome would draw a name. Whoever you drew, you were coupled with for the next year. It's almost like an ancient Tinder. Speed dating. I don't know if it's speed dating. You pull the name, that's your mate for the next year. Except, like I said, you couldn't swipe left. So it sounds wild. It sounds chaotic. It sounds very Rome-esque. But did this actually happen? No. There's no historical evidence that this ever happened, but it has happened somewhere. Let me finish. So around the 18th century, a writer named Alban Butler was reading about customs in England and Scotland, where people were actually did do a Valentine's Day drawing tradition. He basically copied and pasted this on to Rome. He swapped England for Rome, and everybody kept repeating it until it became true. So if you look up the origins of Valentine's Day, that will pop up. Just know it didn't happen in Rome. It happened in England and Scotland. Did they have to stay with those people for a year? I don't know. I didn't look up Scotland and England. I stayed in my lane because I get very distracted. I have too many side rants anyway. So let's keep going. So let's go back through what we have. We've got naked priests, blood rituals, a dating lottery that probably never ever happened, and this went on for centuries. So how did we get to this? From the chocolate hearts and the teddy bears, and one word, as I've always said through all of my other videos, who came to ruin the party? The church. The church, the Catholics, the Christians. The Christians came and were like, yeah, no, they were not happy with Lupercalia. But let me just get into it. Chapter 3, Christianity comes and crashes the party. And here's where the story gets a little bit more interesting. The pagan festival somehow survived even after Christians, Paul, if my mom's watching this, she knows how I feel about Paul, but I digress. Christians in the Bible, when Christianity took over Rome, somehow Lupercalia survived, and it survived for a long time. I mean, for centuries. It kept happening despite the fact that the Catholic Church should have absolutely shut it down. It wasn't just people who believed in these gods, like the Romans who believed in their own gods. Christians were participating in this thing as well. Like they were full on participating in this pagan holiday. I want you to think about that. Rome went Christian. Paul from the Bible. Temples were closing. The old gods were being replaced, but Lupercalia, the people would not let it go. They held on to this holiday. I'm proud of them for it. I'm proud of them. I'm really am. It was that popular. Imagine the government trying to ban Halloween, my favorite holiday, and people were just like, nah, we just gonna keep doing it. So they just kept doing it. I mean, it went on for centuries after Christianity took over, which kind of blew my mind because they was shutting stuff down. I got some other videos coming. They was shutting stuff down left and right. And the fact that they had this holiday last as long as it did, people with blood-soaked hides and stuff, yeah, I thought, all right. But eventually, Pope Glacius I was like, okay, we're done. And he did it around the 5th century. He banned Lupercalia. So no more naked wine through the streets, no more fertility festivals, no more blood-soaked hides, because he said this was not Christian behavior, which it really wasn't, which whatever. Though the church needed to fill the void with something more appropriate. No, we did not get Valentine's Day as you may think. I'm gonna tell you this whole story. So they substituted Lupercalia with Candlemas Day on February 2nd, which so happens to be my birthday, which so happens to also be Groundhog's Day. So yeah, very aware of the irony. So Candlemas is about the representation of Jesus at the temple and Mary's purification after giving birth. Same month, different vibes, still nothing to do with romantic love. But then the Catholic Church needed to rebrand Valentine's Day to be more about something more palatable than the naked priest whipping women, which whatever, I don't think was fun. So the church has a problem. They killed the party, but February still needs a holiday. Enter Saint Valentine's, which is the story I know you all have heard, and I swear to God, I am so sick of it, but I'm finna correct this right now. The Saint Valentine's, like I said, I say the name carefully because there's more than one. There's 3, and honestly, nobody knows if these people are real because when you look it up, it says legend. They're legends. We don't know. Let me keep going. Enter Saint Valentine's with an S. Saint Valentine's. So here's the Saint Valentine story that's so popular, and it's complicated because the Catholic Church, like I said, recognizes 3 different Saint Valentines. So we have 3. We've got Saint Valentine's the priest, martyred in the 3rd century, associated with February 14th, loosely. We have Saint Valentine's the bishop of Tyranny, martyred on February 14th, 269. Saint Valentine's the virgin martyr was martyred in Palestine on July 308. Jesus Christ. So these are 3 different guys, 3 different stories, and honestly, historians aren't even sure if any of them are real. Like I said, they are all considered legends. But I'm going to keep going because it gets more interesting, because here's the kicker. No, we don't even know what any of them look like. You know how many saints that we have? They have pictures. I got a picture of one of the saints in my phone. He was very popular back in the day, but he has a picture, and I think his story is older than the 3 Saint Valentines that I have or have looked up. So we don't even have a picture of any of them. We don't know what any of them look like, because every painting and every holy card, every image of Saint Valentine's are basically made up. So the artists are guessing hundreds of years after they supposedly died. Sounds familiar. They're guessing after they died. And the only real evidence we have is a skull sitting in Rome. Now, scientists have 3D reconstructed it. And you know what? St. Valentine's actually looked like a regular bearded middle-aged man in his 50s. Which one? Your guess is as good as mine and the historians, but I don't know. This doesn't prove that he actually existed or who they say he are. He is. But the one that gets associated with romantic love is Valentine the priest. If I find a picture of him, I will gladly throw him up on the screen, but just know that ain't what he looked like. We don't know what he looked like. Saint Valentine's the priest, and the story goes, Claudius II of Rome supposedly believed that unmarried soldiers were better fighter than married soldiers, and he wanted his men focused on war, not on love and family. So he banned young men of Rome for getting married. Sounds dramatic because it sounds very Rome. It sounds very Rome-ish-esque. But there was one problem. There is no actual Roman record of this ban ever existing. None, no decree, no law, no document. It's part of a legend that's attached to Valentine's story centuries later. We're building an entire holiday on a law that may have never even been real, but Stay with me because it gets even worse. The legend says that Saint Valentine, being a rebel with a cause, said no, that's unfair, and started secretly officiating weddings for couples in love. So he was literally performing illegal marriages against a ban that we can't prove even existed. Some variations say Valentine was a bishop. Remember the three? I did bishop, the bishop, instead of a priest, and he was executed outside of Rome. That story is something way different. Go read that one, look it up. Other versions say he was helping Christians escape from Roman prisons. The oldest church records actually says he was killed for refusing to deny Christ. Go read that story. Is actually but not for performing illegal marriages. So if you want to go read the story about the bishop who was killed outside of Rome for not wanting to deny Christ, that's a good story to read. I say go read it. It's actually good, whatever, but go read it. And then the famous version that we always get, that I don't know why this story irks me, but I know where the story came from and why a lot of people believe in it. That movie Valentine's with all this, the celebrity famous people. You remember that movie? I used to watch that movie. Anyway, this is where famous story comes from that everybody believes in and keeps going with. The most famous version is the one that became the actual origins of Valentine's Day cards. It is that Valentine, like I said, while in prison, fell in love with the jailer's daughter, visited him in prison, and when he was executed, he sent a love letter signed Your Valentine. There are two versions of that story. So let me get this straight. We're celebrating a holiday based on a man who may not have existed, defying a law that was never real, writing a love letter that nobody can prove happened, and somehow this became a $26 billion industry. You can't make a lot of this stuff up. I guess you can, because most of it is more than likely made up. But here's the thing: the church wasn't done rewriting the full story. So what happened? The Catholic Church banned a pagan fertility festival involving naked priests and blood-soaked goat hides. They needed to replace it with something Christian. So they took the legend of Saint Valentine, a man who defied authority for love, and made him the patriot of Valentine's Day, which I guess kind of makes sense because it is called Valentine's Day. So Lupercalia plus Saint Valentine's legend equals modern day Valentine's Day. It's rebranded, it's a cover-up. Church says here's something much more acceptable, reasonable to celebrate on February 14th. A saint who did cool stuff for love instead of whatever was happening with the naked priest running around the streets, which I think would be more fun. If you have the same mindset as today and not in the Roman times, me personally, if I was a Roman, I think the naked runs through the streets would be more fun than what we have now, like these weird obligations. Like, it's all built on a lie. I'm going to keep going because, whatever. The church PRs work. Nobody thinks about the blood-soaked goat hides anymore. Everyone just thinks about chocolate roses and love letters. And I guarantee you most of you did not know any of this about the naked run through the streets, the leprosy, which is the Roman priest who did it, Romulus and Remus, the she-wolf, all that. None of you knew this. Don't lie to me like you did. I don't think you did. Anyway, so let me connect this for you. Naked priest whipping women with the goat hide became a saint who secretly married couples, became a $26 billion chocolate and rose industry. That's not evolution. That's a full cover-up. Straight up. To me, it's a full cover-up. So Valentine's Day, when you're getting chocolates, flowers, or whatever, your little cards, whatever. If I sound like one who does not like Valentine's Day, I would like to just tell you that's not true. Both my husband's and I birthdays are in February. His is on the 13th. We don't do Valentine's Day because it's hard to do things for his birthday, and then we'll be like trying to turn around and do stuff. It's not that. I just haven't celebrated it since we've been married. Whatever. So you just need to remember that this holiday originated from a pagan fertility festival where naked priests whipped women with bloody goat hides, and then the Catholic Church, Paul, If it sounds like I'm throwing like this inside joke in, if my mom watches this, she knows. The Catholic Church replaced it with the legend of a rebel priest who defied an empire, which did not happen. Anyway, he defied the emperor for love. And then Hallmark said, we can make money off this. And here we are. Here we are today. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's messy. It's absolutely chaotic. It's history, which is why I do this. So thanks for watching, my beautiful intellectuals. If the origins of the Valentine's Day story blew your mind, smash that like button. Please subscribe. And for more unhinged, chaotic, historical tea that I have coming up later. And let me know in the comments, did you know about Lupercalia? Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Because I know a lot of people don't know this story. And which version of the Saint Valentine story did you think is real or you thought was real? And did you know there was even 3 Saint Valentines they based this whole holiday after or on? Ugh, legend. So anyway, and also shout out to my birthday from February 2nd, which is also Candlemas Day. And yes, I realize the irony in that. So anyway, until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, love has always been chaos. We're just dressing it up different now. Peace.